1976 again saw the Chinese communists fomenting war in Asia, dropping soldiers into neutral Pakpodia under the guise of still another of their so-called People's Wars of Liberation. The Security Council, however, was quick to act. A United Nations force was dispatched to Pakpodia to stem the tide of aggression. This much the UN force accomplished, but it was not winning the war. It dragged on until recently, at the end of 1976, it was decided to bomb the villages which supply and conceal the enemy.
Major Donald Sutton reporting as ordered, sir.
How do you, Major? Sit down. Sit down. You know why you're here, of course.
Yes, sir.
Cigarette?
No, thank you, sir.
I've been looking over your record, Sutton. It's a good one. Damn good. Distinguished Flying Cross of the United Nations, the Security Council Gold Star for Valor. Air Medal with 5 clusters. That's not the record of a coward. Why? Why?
Well, I just can't bring myself to drop firebombs, sir. Not when I know that there've got to be women and children and old people down there burning in a hell that I made. I'm sorry, sir, I don't think that's war. It's murder.
We're not asking you to kill civilians, Sutton. Our only intent is to hit the enemy where it hurts.
Well, with all due respect, sir, the fact is that we are bombing and killing civilians.
Well, do you think I like having to use tactics that endanger innocent human lives? I don't. Not one bit. But what else can we do? Are you aware of the fact that the enemy deliberately uses the natives as cover for their military bases and operations? Well, you see, we are forced to this.
Well, the two wrongs don't make a right for either side, sir.
Well, all right, then consider the good we're doing. If we weren't here with force and using it, these people will be completely enslaved by the communists in no time.
Yes, sir, but does that good outweigh the evil of killing innocent people?
The enemy has given us no choice. How else are we going to keep this country free and preserve the dignity of its people, huh?
The question, it seems to me, sir, is how much dignity do we preserve by destroying innocent lives? I mean, you know the expression, the operation was a success, but
the patient died. You know, Major, that kind of talk stopped us from putting an end to Chinese aggression back in 1951 in Korea. So what happened? Huh? They figured we were pushovers. They could get away with it. Result? Vietnam. More aggression, more suffering, more death, more billions of dollars down the rat hole, used for killing instead of building and saving lives. We could have stopped them back in 1966, too. But no, the bleeding hearts won out again. You see, Major, people like you could never understand that in war, there is absolutely no substitute for victory.
I'm not opposed to victory, sir. I'm all for it.
Oh?
But what it's worth if we have to win it the wrong way?
The wrong way?
Yes, well, I just don't see how we can justify saturation bombing.
Be specific.
Well, if you take World War II, for example, the city of Dresden. Now, that was no military target, was it? But 3 months, just 3 months before the war was to end, the RAF obliterated it. They killed 150,000 people, sir, and it was only one of about 70 German cities that was at least half destroyed.
Those raids were intended to shorten the war and thus save thousands, untold thousands of Allied lives by destroying German civilian morale and forcing them to surrender.
Well, a good end never justifies bad means, sir, and the irony is that the strategy didn't work anyway. In fact, it backfired because it only made the Germans fight harder. So those civilians, I mean, women and children, were slaughtered for no reason.
War is a dirty business, Major.
Yes,
you
sir.
fight fire with fire. let's not forget Coventry, and Rotterdam, and Exeter, and Pearl Harbor.
Excuse me, sir,
and...
but what is it worth if we use wrong for wrong, evil for evil, then don't we become what we're fighting? Then what's the difference? What is the difference, then, between them and us?
All the difference in the world, Major. Hitler and Tojo and their gang were trying to enslave the world. We were trying to free it. And we never committed genocide. Don't ever forget that.
I know, sir. I mean, I can't believe that the indiscriminate bombing of civilians under any circumstances is right. And I can't do it. I just can't do it anymore, sir.
Do you know that in time of war, refusal to obey your superior officer is punishable by death under Article 90 of the United Nations Code of Military Justice?
Yes, sir.
The very least you could hope to get from a general court-martial at this time would be dishonorable discharge and long imprisonment, perhaps for life. I'm sorry, Major. Major, I'd be willing to withdraw the charges right up to trial time. It's a week away. Think of your wife, your 2 sons and daughter. Think of the country you represent. I hope you'll reconsider.
Insight. Stories of spiritual conflict in the 20th century. Insight.
Come in.
I'm Colonel Buckley. At ease, Major. I'm medical, not military.
I'm not sick, Colonel.
I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Are you an MD?
Yes, I'm Chief of Psychiatry at the 12th General Hospital.
I see. General can't get me to do what he wants, so he's going to solve his problem by removing it. Well, what's it going to be, Colonel? You're going to diagnose me as physically exhausted or mentally ill?
Well, neither, Major, necessarily, if your condition doesn't warrant it. And I resent the implication that I would betray my own personal and professional ethics on command.
All right, I apologize. Please, have a seat.
Thank you.
Well, what are the questions?
With only 6 days left, I'm going to have to be blunt, right to the point. First, doesn't it strike you as being just a little bit too late to decide not to serve, after having already been in combat for so long?
If you're wondering whether I've suddenly turned chicken, Colonel, the answer is no. I'm perfectly willing to bomb military targets or to serve in any other capacity that doesn't involve killing civilians.
Then you're not a conscientious objector.
Only in the sense that my conscience objects to the bombing of non-combatants.
Then you're not against war itself.
Well, I'm not for war. I mean, nobody ever really wins, do they? No, it's degrading. It's a colossal waste.
Would you mind explaining that?
Well, Colonel, don't you wish that we could use the billions that we're spending here to destroy lives for constructive things which could help them instead? You know, like food and shelter and justice. Then maybe they could just laugh at all that Marxist malarkey the Red Chinese are trying to peddle.
Nobody disagrees with that, Major. But why are you in the military at all?
Oh, well. Yeah, I guess maybe I'm not against all war. No, I suppose some of them may be just. They may even be necessary.
Such as?
When a group of people have to defend themselves against aggression after they've exhausted all peaceful means.
As the United Nations did here.
Yes. Now look, I realize we cannot just abandon 150 million people to the Red Chinese version of togetherness.
You stun me, Major. What is your problem?
My problem is my conscience. It tells me that the end does not justify the means.
Then you choose to follow your conscience rather than that of your superior officers. It's very interesting. Now, what about their conscience? What about General Bertani's ethics? Do you think his conscience would allow him to give you an order that he himself believed was wrong?
No. I'm sure he's doing what he believes is right, but I can't answer for his conscience, can I? Only my own.
Well, what about all the others? The Security Council, the General Assembly of the United Nations. Now, doesn't it strike you as being a little presumptuous to assume that you are right and all these other people are wrong?
Well, I've prayed long and hard that I'm not guilty of presumption, Colonel, or pride.
Well, what else could you call it in the light of all other opinion? Don't you think it smacks of megalomania? Delusions of grandeur?
I don't know. I just don't feel that I have the right to kill a fellow human being whose only crime is that he or she happens to be in my line of fire.
Yes, but you couldn't possibly know all the facts, all the considered judgment that goes into the leader's decisions, could you?
No.
Then why not be reasonable? Accept the decisions of older, wiser, and more informed heads than yours. Do as you're told. Instead of trying to set yourself up as your own personal god or martyr, you do want to live, don't you? See your wife and children?
Yes, I do.
Good. I'll tell General Bertani that you've reconsidered. Agreed?
No. Now, wait a minute. Maybe these leaders know a lot more than I do about a lot of things, but believe it or not, there's some things I know better from first-hand battle experience.
Oh, then it's your battle-scarred conscience that girds you against all doubts and fears.
Well, what are you talking about? You think I don't have fear? I have fear of being disgraced. And I tell you, I have a certain amount of fear about possibly facing that firing squad. And I had doubts. And if I still had them, I'd feel obliged to follow the orders of my superiors.
Oh, but your doubts seem to have suddenly evaporated. How come?
I'll tell you how come. I was shot down on one of our bombing missions, Colonel. And I managed to escape capture, but before I got back to our lines, I saw firsthand. Now, I'm not talking about the armor-plated abstraction of a jet 1,000 feet up. I mean the ground-level horror of what these bombs do. I'm talking about burned, mutilated women and children. Innocent people killed by our bombs. And that's why I can't obey any more, Colonel. I'm sorry, sir, no more.
I can understand your revulsion with man's cruelty to man. But do you realize what would happen if everyone followed your example, refused to follow legitimate authority? The world would be in a state of anarchy and chaos.
What else can I do? Look, in the last analysis, it's not my country right or wrong, it's my conscience right or wrong. No? Colonel? What do you think? Am I sane?
Eminently sane. He makes so much sense that I'm glad I'm not a line officer or a pilot, forced to make the same decision he is.
Would you?
I don't know.
Would you make the same decision?
I don't know if I'd have Major Sutton's courage. The courage to be a coward in the world's eyes.
I almost wish he were a coward. And that way, at least it'd be an open and shut case that we could deal with simply and summarily. But this way, a sincere and dedicated hero. What do you do with that kind?
What the world has always done, depending on his relationship to the establishment, pro or con. You either decorate a hero or destroy him.
Thank you, Doctor.
My written report, General. If I may say so, sir, I'm glad I'm not in your shoes. Your decision must be no less difficult.
Good morning. I am Major Paul Marchand. I've been assigned to defend you.
I'm certainly glad to see you.
There are only a few days left before the trial. The General wished me to extend you a most generous offer. A compromise.
What kind of compromise?
Remove yourself from the jurisdiction of the military court. Resign your commission, and the charges will be dropped.
No. No, I can't do that, Major.
You don't bend very much, do you?
You can't bend convictions too far, not without breaking them.
You do realize that you're standing alone in refusing to obey your commanding officer?
No, not exactly alone.
Oh? Well, you could have fooled me.
Well, they're not all present, but they're accounted for. St. Peter, for one, he said, I must obey God rather than man. Now, that means nobody can order me to do anything wrong.
And in your opinion, bombing is wrong?
The kind of bombing we're doing now. I'm especially glad to see you because I've been doing some research. This is the Second Vatican Council back in 1965, which said any act of war aimed indiscriminately at the destruction of entire cities or extensive areas along with their population is a crime against God and man himself. It merits unequivocal and unhesitating condemnation.
Are you, Catholic?
Oh, no, I wouldn't want you to get the impression that one swallow makes a convert. I don't think the Catholic Church is perfect just because Christ was, or that it's always right.
I'm relieved to know that one of you isn't always infallible. I'd be interested to know where you think the Catholic Church wasn't exactly on the hot line to heaven.
All right, then, here's something else. Of course, I'm not referring to the entire hierarchy in the faithful now, but as Bishop John Taylor said of his brethren and sisters, if back in 1945, the B-29s had dropped tons of contraceptives on Hiroshima, Catholics all over the world would have risen up and screamed their moral outrage. As it was, however, it was only a nuclear bomb, so hardly a voice was raised in protest against the annihilation of a defenseless city and its inhabitants.
The Catholics aren't alone in that. For too many centuries, the great scandal of religion, every religion, is that the religious leaders in almost every war have allowed themselves to become the moral arm of their own government, even in wars recognized later as palpably unjust.
Yes, that may be, Major, but the important thing here and now for my defense is that the Vatican Council has expressed the view of many people today. I'm talking about people of all sects who happen to believe that indiscriminate bombing is a crime.
What took them so long?
Well, I guess the Church is human as well as divine, Major. Sometimes it takes a while for the divine to seep through the human, but anyway. I don't want to have to answer for having followed the orders of my superior officers instead of my own conscience.
Oh, come now, Major. You can't seriously think that you would get into trouble with the authorities for obeying your superiors?
It was the highest authority I had in mind, Major, crimes against God. But even at sea level, now look, you're a lawyer. You can't have forgotten Nuremberg, where many Nazis were condemned to death simply because they chose to follow the orders of their superior officers rather than their own conscience. Crimes against humanity now. That was no delusion, was it?
No. The only delusion was the Nazis.
But because the Germans obeyed rather than make waves, millions of innocent people died.
Major, those deaths are far in the past, the result of a monstrous tyranny. I'm talking about the present, here and now, when we are trying to stop another monstrous tyranny. I'm talking about you. Your disgrace, and possibly your death. Unless you agree to do as ordered. Major! What shall I tell the General?
I can't serve two masters. That's his answer?
Yes, sir.
There isn't much time left. The court-martial is the day after tomorrow.
Yes, I know, Major, I know. I was hoping it wouldn't be necessary, but time is running out, so I guess I'll have to use the biggest gun I've got left to blast Major Sutton out of his ivory tower.
Now, what is that, sir?
his wife. Do you think you're ready to face him now? I'll send him in. Jack. Oh, honey.
There. And now I've gone and ruined my makeup, and I wanted to be so pretty for you.
What are you talking about? You're beautiful. You're gorgeous.
You are an officer and a gentleman and a wonderful liar. Isn't it silly? First time I've seen you in a year and a half. My mascara's running.
The kids. How are the kids?
They're fine. They send all their love. Oh.
Which?
Matthew said to be sure and tell you he'd gotten his Bobcat badge in the Cub Scouts. And now he's going to start a scrapbook on your exploits.
Hey, what's this? What's the matter with her mouth?
Oh, Kathy lost another one of her baby teeth. She's got a smile that's full of holes.
And the baby? How's the baby?
He's not a baby anymore. He's the nearest thing to perpetual motion. Don, you've got to do what they say.
Jackie.
It's like throwing your life away for nothing.
No, honey, look. I'd be nothing. I wouldn't be worth a thing to anybody if I didn't do this, believing as I do.
But if you won't think of yourself or me, at least think of the children. Think what this will do to them.
I'm counting on you telling them the truth of it, Jackie.
But I can't raise them alone. What's going to happen to them with their father gone?
I don't know. I really don't know. But you've just got to try to make them realize that there really are far worse things. I mean, greater evils than death.
What could be worse?
Honey, I think to be unfaithful to myself and what I believe.
That is what you want then, isn't it? To be a martyr.
No, honey. What I want is to live with you in peace and love and see our children grow up and have all the happiness and the fullness of life. That's what I want.
Then do what they want.
Don't you think I'd like to, don't you? Don't you think I'd just like to walk away? You know, go along, do what I'm told, but I can't.
But darling...
Honey, I can't. I cannot do it. Not if it means killing other men's wives and children.
Oh, Don. If you're so worried about other wives and children to the point of killing yourself, then go ahead, do it.
It's time.
Yes, I'm ready, General.
Then you are going ahead with it.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. Genuinely sorry, Major.
Jackie.
Don. I'll pray for you.
Listen. I love you. I love you very much.
Till death do us part.
If there is anything I can do,
Is he wrong, General?
All my training and experience has been discipline and obedience, and I'm proud of it. But now, after hearing your husband's arguments, seeing his integrity, I am not so sure about a lot of things anymore.
But will they convict him?
I don't know, Mrs. Oakley. Another bombing mission.